What's up, Cougs? I'm your host of Unorthodox Sports here on KUGR Radio and on KUGR YouTube. Noah Bolter, my performance name, DJ Squabble, is what I go by. I'm so excited to bring you guys your home for Seahawks and Cougar coverage on KUGR, Unorthodox Sports, here leading into the new year, the last show of the year. I'm so excited to bring it to you guys. The Seattle Seahawks just won the NFC West, and I'm so excited to get into that, but we have a little bit to talk about before we get into that. And allow me to introduce the current cast that's going to help me do the show so far. We are expecting one more, but until he gets here, Aaron Monson, it will have to suffice. Aaron, it is great to have you on the show.
Great to be here, Squabbo. It's going to be another interesting show for the most part, except for when we start talking about the college football playoffs. That's when it's going to get boring.
Fair point. But we will get there in just a little bit. I want to start with talking a little bit about Wazoo basketball and the state of the program, men's and women's. Ladies first, of course, 3-1. Their only loss on the season coming to number 8 ranked Oregon. They got some Pac-12 matchups coming up: Utah, Colorado, Arizona State, Arizona. But they're rolling right now, and they're looking pretty good. And it's, they were in that game against Oregon, only lost by 4 points. So.
Yeah.
Aaron, what do you have to say about the current state of women's basketball?
Women's basketball at WSU has always just been so solid, especially just, 3-1 record's an awesome one to have. And especially like you said, losing to the number 8 Oregon Ducks is just, I'm totally satisfied with that. And, we keep on playing as hard as we have been. We're going to keep winning games. And I think, hopefully we have a shot at getting to the top 25.
Yeah, no, if we keep performing at this rate, hopefully we can crack it. I completely agree. Speaking of teams that should crack the top 25, how about our undefeated men's basketball team, 8-0? Are you kidding me? And it looks like we do have an Asher showing up.
There he is.
Asher, great to have you. Very sharp haircut. For our radio audience, Mr. Asher Lined, our KUGR sports director, got a very, very handsome haircut and just popped in on the Skype call.
Thanks. You're too kind. What's up, dudes? I'm glad I could finally join. My computer was giving me some issues, but I'm glad to be here. We got some very exciting topics tonight, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We were just talking about the current state of women's and men's basketball, how both teams, if they keep playing at this rate, very well might deserve a spot in the top 25 college rankings. I want to get your thoughts, Asher, on the current state of Wazoo basketball, men and women, please.
Yeah, I think both teams are in a really good spot right now. I know ESPN was talking about putting the women's team specifically in the top 25. I know both teams just had Pac-12 Freshman of the Week in Abugidi and Charlize, so that was really, really fun to see. And I have some more points that I'll talk about later, but I got to watch the men's and women's team play the last couple weeks. And some things I didn't like, as I'm sure Aaron is well aware of as far as the men's side goes. But no, I really liked what I saw from both teams. I think they have a really bright future with Abugidi and Charlize as those two freshmen of the week, like I said. But yeah, I think one of the big things for me is watching on the men's side anyway is a strength of schedule. I think that is the big reason they're unranked right now, because they are undefeated, but they haven't played really anyone of significance yet. And they were going to play Arizona State this coming New Year's Eve on Tuesday, I believe, but that just got postponed about an hour and a half ago, I saw, so they'll have to wait for that one. And then Arizona, who also just got banned from the Pac-12 tournament, not sure. I don't know if that will have any implications as far as ranking goes, because if you play a team who won't do anything in the postseason, I don't know if that turns off voters in any way, but either way, they're in about as good of a position as they could be, because the women played Oregon to 4 points, and I called that game, and I was just so impressed by them that entire game. Playing the number 7 team in the country to within 4 points. They led at halftime, too, and they very well could have won the game, if not for a couple late mistakes by them. But they beat Oregon State, who was 21 at the time. So I've been impressed for both teams so far, for sure.
Aaron, let's go back to you. What are your current thoughts? Just give us any beefs that you have with either team.
Well, I still hate Isaac Bonton. He's slowly getting better, but he's still making those horrible takes to the hoop where he just puts up absolute garbage. It's absolute dog water what he puts up to the hoop. It's just so annoying.
It also annoying the 3-pointers. Like, let's not just limit it to inside.
Well, the thing is, like, when he does shoot the 3-pointer, a lot of the time he has an open look, but he just doesn't make them. And when Noah Williams has been shooting the 3-ball as good as he has been this year compared to last year, they just need to keep feeding him the ball behind the arc instead. But I also want to mention Mark Ovechkin. Like, you can tell that over the course of this season, he's improved greatly. Like, he's gotten to be a lot more physical underneath the hoop, and he's becoming more coordinated. And I'm impressed with how well he shoots a free throw. Like, normally when that guy that's 7'1", he gets to the steps to the free throw line, it's like an awkward, not a brick of a shot. But
kind of like the guy in your background there.
Yeah, that's not the point. The point is that Mark Ovechkin is a good free throw shooter, and it just makes me happy seeing a big dude shoot good free throws.
I like watching us play big physical basketball. We've dealt with a couple teams with some speed. We're going to deal with some more coming up. And if we're able to run in transition, Coach Kyle Smith has keyed in on that as one of our goals defensively, offensively, dominating the boards like we have been as of late. Gentlemen, is there anything else you want to add?
Before we move on, I just want to agree with Aaron really quick and put it on record that after watching Bonton in person, I do agree that he tends to force up a lot of contested, very low percentage shots. He puts things up like when the shot clock running down, the little turnaround, like he makes a couple of them here and then. Like he has some good shots here and there, but the general a majority of what I saw from him was forced, Aaron, and I do agree with you in that sense, is that he needs to quit forcing the offense and just try to run the ball, pass it a little more, and get better shots, because he's shooting 26%, and I was going to talk about how he can't do that against Arizona State, but that got postponed a little bit. But Remy Martin is averaging about, I think a point more per game only, but he's shooting more than 50% from the field, and Bonton's still hovering around that 27-28%. So there's definitely some discrepancy between those two.
What was really disturbing about IB was that, and it was towards the end of the Northwestern State game, we were winning by a lot, and the game was over, and the defense practically stopped, and IB blows past his defender to pick up his dribble, take 2 steps, do a 360 and throw the ball out of bounds. And I'm just like, the game is over and you're still doing too much. So, Aaron, I'm starting to see a little bit more to lean towards.
I know, it's almost like I was right.
But I still believe, as does Jazz Kuntz in his press conference, that IB, when he facilitates, is a very, very helpful piece. And if he could fix his decision-making, he has a lot of potential.
Yeah, but also one more thing about Cougar men's ball is the depth of rotation that Kyle Smith puts out onto the court is astronomical compared to what I've seen in the past. He pulls guys off the bench that, probably wouldn't see the light of day if Ernie Kent was still at Wazoo. Like Deshaun Jackson, our big dude freshman, he's like 7 foot. He's played very good for a freshman who's big like that. I think he's got some real potential, because I think overall he's already a better player than Mark Ovechkin is, just because he's more coordinated. But I like seeing the young dudes get some play time, so Kyle Smith knows what he's working with. And the fact that he can just keep rotating throughout the bench, just proves that we're going to have an endless supply of energy throughout the entire game. And it's nice to see that for once in a D1 college school.
Absolutely. The state of all basketball at Wazoo is doing pretty well right now, and for that we are extremely grateful. Let's shift now. Let's talk about the Professional Basketball Association, National Basketball Association, and let's make our power rankings as the season has just begun. I got the Bucks Heat game going on the side, but Milwaukee is demolishing Miami as we speak after an embarrassing loss to the Knicks in their last time out. So we're going to rank our top 5 teams, though, and see if that Knicks loss has wavered Milwaukee on any of our lists. Let's start with the number 5 team, and that's actually where I put Milwaukee. They're 1-2 so far. They're killing Miami. I'm not gonna waver too much because of the Knicks loss, simply because of the fact that this is still a really good team, and they obviously had other games on their schedule that they were more focused on, prioritized greater than this Knicks game. And I've seen a lot of teams early on in a season where the off season was shorter, the season is shortened. This is going to be a year where it starts off pretty weird. Orlando is currently the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Do not expect this to stand. I'm not falling for it. I'm not taking the fake. I put Milwaukee at number 5 on my list. Asher, what about you?
I think the Knicks loss did a little too much for me. I would put them at 6, but like you said, this is way too early in the season to see where anything is. But losing to the Knicks by 20 is definitely something you don't want to do if you're a team with Giannis on it, for sure, because he's looking to three-peat in the MVP category, and losing to the Knicks definitely won't help that case at all. But yeah, that did a little bit too much for me. I still think they're a really good team. You know, with Drew Holiday coming in, I think he'll be a big addition. And Giannis, again, we all know what he's capable of. I think it's a little too much for me, though. I have Atlanta at 5. I really like their start because they're 3-0
like that
as well. I think it's the Pistons, the Magic, the Pacers, and the Hawks are all 3-0. And
yep.
I doubt anyone anticipated that. But Trae Young has been playing lights out the last few games. Yeah, he's averaging 34 a game, 53 from the field, 91% at the free throw line. The new pieces they brought in, Bogdanovich, Rondo, they look really good playing with him. And I like the core that they already had with John Collins, Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter, Kevin Werder. I like Atlanta right now, and 3-0 start is perfect as you could ask for them.
I agree. Aaron, let's go to you.
I also have Milwaukee at number 5, just because it's too early, like you said earlier. It's, Giannis is going to probably get the MVP again, like Asher was saying, even though it's, we're 4 or 5 games into the season right now. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo. The dude's an absolute animal, and I just think he can do it again, and that's why Milwaukee's I feel like is going to be comfortable at number 5 for me.
So this whole list is going to be very controversial in my opinion. Like, I'm going with the teams that if it were, and here's how I'm basing my list specifically. I'm putting the teams that if there was one game for everything on the line or a series for everything on the line right now, I think the teams would be victorious in this order against the other teams. So number 4 on my list, despite a historic halftime deficit in their previous outing, and despite a historic loss in their previous outing, I'm sticking with the Los Angeles Clippers. They didn't have Kawhi in that game. They had already gotten past their 2 biggest games that they've been looking forward to forever, against the Lakers and against Denver, and they won both, including one on Christmas. Kawhi was out the next game against Dallas, and they got blown out in that ball game. I am not taking too much consideration into it. It's early season. I definitely think that the Clippers are not the best team in the league, but I didn't think that before. So this really didn't waver my opinion too much. Clippers, number 4 on my list. Asher, let's go to you.
Well, it's definitely not the Clippers for me. I thought losing by 50 was a little too much there. I mean, even though they didn't have Kawhi, they didn't have a whole lot going for them in that game. But I put the Pacers at number 4. I like what I've seen from Sabonis so far this year. The Pacers are also 3-0. They're beating the Celtics right now. Sabonis had that game winner against them. I know I'm a Celtics fan. That was a little gut-wrenching for me to see. But Sabonis has really improved. He's averaging a 24 and 11 rebound double-double through their first 3 games. And I think he's probably, I didn't check, but he's probably got somewhere around there in for tonight's game. I really like what I've seen from him, and Oladipo too. Who's going to be a lot healthier this year. Hopefully, Miles Turner going to have a big impact year. So I like Indiana at 4. I've been really impressed from them. They kind of faded out last year in the playoffs, but they've made a good start.
Asher, a forward thinker. I like it a lot. I think by the end of the year, some of the teams that you got up here might waver a little bit, like the teams that I have up here have already done. So, I mean, it's all up for debate, but I like where you're coming from.
Yeah, it's hard to give a fact or realistic power ranking, but I think you had your approach to yours, and I think my approach is kind of based on like how they've performed over the last 3-4 games. And Atlanta and Indiana are both 3-0, and it's hard to ask for anything better than that. So,
actually, you can't. You really can't ask for anything better than 3-0. Aaron, let's go to you.
I'm gonna kind of hop on the bandwagon a little bit right now, but I'm gonna put the Lakers at number 4.
Whoa!
I know they're 2. I know they're 2-2, but LeBron. I hate him, but like Noah said, if they were to go to the finals right now, win everything, I think they have a good shot.
They're your 4th team, though, if we were to go right now? Goodness.
Yeah. Just because LeBron's a playoff contender, dude. I
No. I'm saying 4 is too low. If it's playoff time, I'm putting them. You're gonna see where I put them. We'll get there in a minute, though.
You'll put that at number 1. Yeah, I already know where you're putting them. Whatever.
All right, so the number 3 team on my list, that's where I'm putting respect on the name of the Celtics. Even though they're 1-2 currently, they lost to Indiana. They got blown out by Brooklyn. I'm not going to waver too much from that Brooklyn game because I think Brooklyn had a lot to prove in that game. That was a Christmas Day game. It was a game that Brooklyn has circled for a while heading into the season. Kevin Durant has waited a year to play basketball again, at least on the NBA stage, and he took it out a little bit on the Boston Celtics. I'm not going to hate on the Celtics too much for the early season struggles. No Kemba yet, and I think this team is going to be a really good team down the stretch of this year. I'm not wavering on Boston. I really like Boston this year, and I have them at number 3. Asher, let's go to you, Mr. Celtics fan.
Unfortunately, I put the Celtics off my list, but that could definitely change because I didn't like what I saw against Brooklyn. I mean, I kind of anticipated it happening because I don't think anyone will stop Kevin Durant and Kyrie this year. I just think they're the best scoring duo in the league right now, based on what I've seen so far.
Fair.
I don't think that's too far off of realism. Real quick, Boston leads it with about a minute left, and Sabonis he's 2 assists short of a triple-double, Sabonis is. So that just goes to show you how much he's improved. It's 14, 10, and 8 right now. They're up 111, 109, the Celtics are, with about 55 seconds to go. So they're definitely playing, but the blowout to Brooklyn kind of did it for me. I have the Lakers at 3. I think the chemistry with LA, their new guys, Harrell and Schroeder, play so well together, and LeBron and Gasol play really well together. They kind of recreated that photo you saw with Kobe and Powell, that high five they did, and then LeBron and Gasol, and that only tells like half the tale, it seems to me, because Harrell and Schroeder, like I mentioned before, they've been playing so well together. It's like they've been playing in a Lakers jersey for a lot longer. And Kyle Kuzma, a guy who I think is going to have a breakout year, he made his first 4 threes the other night in the game. He's definitely looking for a bigger role. I like them a lot right now. As much of a Celtics fan as I am, it's probably bad for me to be rooting for the Lakers or, hyping them up, stuff like that. But they've looked really good so far, despite only being 2-2. But I think they're improving a lot.
It's kind of cute. We put each other's favorite team at number 3 on our list. Respect, Dasher. Respect. Aaron, let's go to you.
Just for you.
You guys want a little bit of a hot take for my number 3? Just a little bit of one.
I've been hearing it from Asher
Pelicans.
so far. Ooh.
Pelicans. That's hot. That's a hot take.
Why do you say
I'm
this?
well aware of how hot it is. Well, just because of their roster. Like, Lonzo Ball has been playing really good, like straight out of, wherever he came from. I can't remember. What country was he playing in?
Lonzo's from UCLA.
Bro,
yeah, Lonzo's from here.
I have had like 0 sleep. I'm sorry. I had a long day. But Lonzo Ball, like, he's been playing good, and I'm excited. Like, Brandon Ingram's a stud. Okay, Brandon Ingram was just like, he's just a consistent guy that you can count on as, like, he's more of a 6th man off the bench, I feel like, lately. But honestly, he's been doing solid. And especially with Zion, I mean, Zion, Lonzo Ball, and plus Eric Bledsoe is like almost a little bit of a sleeper, I feel like because he can have some really good games. And I think that they're going to be doing very well this year. That's just my little hot take.
Are they a playoff team, though?
Yes. As of right now, yes.
I could see them being a playoff team. They still have a lot of potential that they need to live up to, but we'll see moving forward. I could definitely see them creeping onto the list at some point. I don't think now is an appropriate time to do so. But number 2 on my list, I go to a team that is 2-2, and that really has 2 of the best players on the planet. What more do you have to say about the Brooklyn Nets? This is a team that, for the games that I think they are going to get up for, we could see them blowing out other really good teams in the East or the West, all across the NBA. This is a team that can blow out any team on any given night, except for the one team that I have ahead of them. The Brooklyn Nets lost to Charlotte and lost to Memphis. They were not focused for those games, and I think that's pretty fair to say. The Memphis game went to OT, but losing to Charlotte just if these were playoff games and if this was go time right now, Brooklyn would have won those games, and that's why Brooklyn right now is number 2 on my list. I'm unfazed. Asher, let's go to you.
I have the Mavericks at 2. Luka Doncic is really good at basketball, and I think they're only getting better when they get a healthy Porzingis back. If you can beat anyone without Porzingis by 51, I can't wait to see what this roster does when he comes back. Because Luka will make a heck of a try to get MVP this year. I think he's got a really good shot for it, and I was just blown away. I looked at Twitter and I thought someone photoshopped that halftime score when they were up by 50, and I could not believe it. But I've been really impressed with what I've seen from Luka this year, and to think he's my age, beating NBA teams by 50, it just blows my mind.
That's fair. Aaron, let's go to you.
I'm in the same spot as you, Noah. I got Brooklyn Nets at number 2 for 2 reasons, and you know what those 2 reasons are? I'll bet you one of you guys can guess them.
KD and Kyrie.
Exactly what. Just a dynamic duo. Like Asher said, I agree with they might be the best scoring duo in the NBA right now. And I think that's going to carry them very far this year, especially with KD healthy.
Boston, as far as I know, Boston up 4 with 14 seconds. Looking pretty good at number 3 on my list right now. Just have to put that
I saw
out there.
that. Tatum's got 25 right now. Mm-hmm. I'm so excited for Tatum and Brown this year.
Yeah, and to think they were considering trading him for James Harden. No, I'm just kidding. They would not.
Don't even go there, man.
They would not.
I don't need that right now.
No need to poke the bear. All right. The last spot on our power rankings, the number 1 spot in the NBA, and you guys all know where I'm going with this. The Los Angeles Lakers. I do not care if they've already lost 2 games this year. They don't even need the 1 seed to advance all the way throughout the playoffs. We just won the NBA championship in the most unprecedented year in NBA history in a bubble. Sounds like something off of SpongeBob. LeBron James was able to get it done, speaking of other yellow things. The Lakers jerseys. But the Lakers are number 1 on my list. I'm sticking with it. I love how these guys are capable of playing when they are at their best. Not how they've played so far this year, but how good these guys are when they are together. You guys mentioned it, Schroeder. Wesley Matthews hasn't played up to his potential yet. Now that has Marc Gasol, but Trez Harrell has played phenomenal, and the Lakers are number 1 on my list. Asher, let's go to you.
Because I think they're the best scoring duo in the league, I will also put the Nets as the best team in the league right now. Their loss to Memphis was without Kevin Durant and Kyrie, and I know they didn't play that well in Charlotte. Shout out to Terry Rozier for dropping 42 and that monster dunk right on Kevin Durant. Big Rozier fan. I loved him in Boston, and to see him and Gordon Hayward thrive in Charlotte is really cool. I'm excited for Charlotte this year, but I just think they're too much. I think they're too deep, and I lose some of my argument. I know with them losing Dinwiddie for the year to the torn ACL, but I think they're just too talented to not be the 1 team right now. KD and Kyrie are both top 10 in scoring right now. KD averages about 27 a game. Kyrie pushing the 30. He's at 4th right now in scoring. Joe Harris, a sharpshooter, one of the most efficient guys, can fill in. Karis LeVert, a likely 6-man candidate of the year. They just have too many weapons right now, and I really like Steve Nash as a head coach too. I think him, Stoudemire, D'Antoni, that entire coaching staff just brings so much culture, and it just really clicks, I think, with the style of Kyrie and KD. Because the 7-second offense with a player like Kevin Durant should just be absolutely lethal. I don't think anyone should be able to stop that, given what we've seen from Kevin Durant in the past. So I'll put Brooklyn at number 1. And if they lose like the next 2 or 3, then I'll bump them down. But I don't see that happening.
I'm really curious. Let's see where Aaron's going with this. Aaron, who's the number 1 team on your list?
My number 1 team is 1 and 2. 3rd in the Southwest Division. It's your Dallas Mavericks.
Oh my goodness.
I honestly think Luka is he could be one of the best guards in the league right now. Like, he's top 2, I think, for me right now.
I think he's up there.
He's top 2
there for sure.
I think
he's top 2.
He could get the MVP. I agree with Asher.
I just think he's unstoppable, especially when I'm so sorry. I'm spacing so bad. The big dude on the team, Porzingis. When Porzingis comes back, by the way, loved him at Gonzaga. He was an absolute stud. And I just saw that Porzingis is running through full practices with the Mavericks now, so that's good, which means he'll be back soon. And I just think that they're going to be a dynamic duo, and I think they can beat the Lakers.
I definitely think if somebody could, Dallas could, and I think down the road they might find their way onto this list as well. But for now, I keep them off. So the number one teams on all of our list, I have the Lakers, Asher says Brooklyn, and Aaron says Dallas. Each of those teams has 2 losses already this year. That's what kind of year this is going to be in the NBA season. Only 3 games into the season, 4 games, and some teams have played maybe 5. But let's shift now and let's shift over to the other sport that we're going to talk about and cover a bit today. Football. And let's start with college football because the playoffs are among us, and I am so excited. To watch these games? Absolutely. Even if it's
Dude, they're the same every year. How are they exciting still? It's going to be Bama, Clemson again, and it's going to be Bama.
Controversial.
It doesn't matter.
I still love watching football.
Matter.
Watching great.
Okay, sure. It's good football. They're good football teams, but it's the same every year. I'm sick of it.
So Aaron's clearly a bit butthurt, but don't let him down on our parade. Bama versus Notre Dame. I want to make our predictions for this game. Ian Book versus Mac Jones. Bama heavy favorite in this game, and I think that's how it plays out. I think Bama wins dominantly, 42, and I'll give Notre Dame 24, and just say like some of those will happen when it's garbage time. I think Bama dominates this game and off to the national championship. Asher.
I think Bama wins too, and I probably have Bama winning the whole thing. The trio of Jones, Harris, and Smith is just it reminds me of last year's LSU team with Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, all those guys that just played lights out every single game, and they ended up going undefeated. And I think Bama will do the exact same thing because Devontae Smith just won the AP Football Player of the Year.
Yeah.
I think he's the first wide receiver to ever win that award, and he's just been playing lights out all year with Mac Jones as his quarterback. And I think Nick Saban, definitely being their coach, definitely helps. I know, Aaron, with that look on your face, you probably don't appreciate me saying that, but I like Bama way too much. I think they dominate Notre Dame. I think Book's been playing a good all year, and I think Notre Dame has been a lot better than years past, but I think Alabama's just too much. I say Alabama 48-20. I think they run away with it.
Says Asher. I agree. I think it's going to be a blowout. Aaron, let's go to you.
Dude, Alabama hasn't had a game where they scored less than 38 points.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, and it's dumb. I'm ready for the Saban era to be over. I'm ready for somebody else to be going to the college football playoffs. I honestly think they should rework the entire college football playoffs. There needs to be a slight more of a bracket system.
I do agree.
Somehow, because it's just
not enough. I say they need to expand it.
Bama beats Notre Dame 52-28.
I can see it. I would like to talk about that in just a moment. I was actually watching a video about that today, Joel Klatt proposal, where he talked about how one of the main things that they could do, one of the first things that they could do to fix the playoff bracket would be to remove the divisions and allow conference championships to really be played by the 2 best teams, and then after that keep the same number of playoff teams, which I disagree with, and I would totally be down to add more playoff teams if that means giving 2 teams a bye and making it 6, or if that means putting 8 teams in the playoffs. I am with it because college football is where sometimes crazy things can happen, and I would love to see it happen.
Exactly. But before we go on, how many divisions are there in college football? Like, how many? Do you guys know how many there are?
Not exactly.
I do not.
Okay. Well, is there more than 16? No. There's not more than 16. There's like, hold on.
Let me Google it really quick. It's an interesting conversation, though, because you have the winner of each Power 5 conference hypothetically get a spot. So that'd be 5. So what do you do with the other 3 spots if you extend it to 8? I say make it 8 teams because I wanted to see A&M in the playoffs this year because A&M was playing great most of the year.
I want to see Cincy.
I want to see Cincy. It would have been a really good game too. Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hated watching them lose to Liberty.
Yeah.
They were kind of America's team this year. They were really fun to watch.
Aaron, what do you have for us?
Give me just a sec. 1, 2.
Asher, how do you feel about that idea though, getting rid of the divisions?
I don't mind the idea of getting rid of divisions, but I do think they should expand it though, because I think if you get rid of divisions, having just 4 playoff spots would be too little for that. I think they should do like NFL, where you have the winner of each conference per se. So maybe like the winner of the Pac-12, maybe the winner of the Big 12, and then et cetera, all get a spot.
But here's the thing: there's 11 conferences.
Okay.
So how would you make a playoff? How would you make a bracket out of 11? Would you give like the number 1 team the bye?
Yeah.
You could.
That's how you'd have to do it, right?
I can't see a situation where the college football playoffs gets extended to 11 teams. I just feel like it's a little too.
No, but here's the thing. That's the only way it would be interesting. That's just it. Winner of the Pac-12, winner of the American Athletic Conference, by the way, which is Cincinnati, Atlantic Coast, Big 12. Dude, it would make everything. There's a conference called USA.
The USA Conference. Yep.
Bro, what?
And
the FBS Independent.
And you're trying to put them in the playoffs, Aaron. That's you.
I'm just saying it would make everything a lot more interesting. Can you imagine Marshall Thundering Herd going to the college football playoff final, like championship? I'm just saying, make it a little bit more like the March Madness bracket. You have a more interesting time, and you don't have the same freaking teams every year.
Okay, happy mediums. I think 8 is more realistic. So I think we should start with. Honestly, we should start with 6 and try and get 8, and then try and get I'm okay with continuing to try and get more teams in the playoffs. But I definitely think 11 is a little bit unrealistic to start with. But I think 8's a number that's been thrown around a lot. And I really think that it's possible, and if we keep getting the same 4 teams, maybe at some point they will finally make the adjustment. But let's talk about the other matchup, if you guys don't mind. Clemson, Ohio State. What do we think about this matchup? Do we think it's going to be any closer than the previous one? Asher, let's go to you.
I think it'll be a little closer because Ohio State, despite how many fewer games they've played compared to Clemson, I still think they have a loaded talent with Justin Fields and Ryan Day as their coach. But I still think Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Devil Sweeney, I just think they're a little too much for Ohio State. And I think Clemson will win a close one. It'll be 30-27. It'll be a close game, but Trevor Lawrence will be able to pull it out in the end.
Aaron.
It's going to be... Clemson's going to win. They're going to win by 12. They're going to win by 14, by 2 possessions. I don't know what the final score is going to be, but I'm telling you right now, that's my take. It's going to be a 14-point game with Clemson winning. Trevor Lawrence is going to have 4 touchdowns. Same old bull crap. And then
Aaron is such a hater, man. Aaron,
I'm going to be a hater. This is boring. This is boring.
College
salt shaker over
are boring now.
Do you want me to grab it for you?
Yes, God, dude.
Aaron is a
okay,
hater.
Look. I may be a hater and I may be a downer, but I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
it's the same teams every year.
I can't necessarily disagree with you because it has been Alabama, Clemson for quite a while, and I think
dude,
Notre Dame playing in the ACC. Yeah, true. Notre Dame playing in the ACC, I want to say, though. Notre Dame playing in a conference schedule, I think, definitely helped their case. Because without a conference schedule, I think that just totally eliminates any chance Notre Dame has had in the past. I think it helps them and everyone else tremendously. Because it means Clemson finally has someone to compete with for the ACC title. Because it's been the Clemson show ever since Dabo Sweeney got there, essentially, it seems. In the last couple of years with Trevor Lawrence and them, it's just been Clemson dominating the ACC. So I think it benefits everyone except Clemson, which I know Aaron would approve of in this scenario.
Well, I think this game is going to be a little bit between the two of you guys. I say 35-23. Clemson wins. Ohio State's secondary is suspect at times, and I think Clemson's or Trevor Lawrence is so good at looking off DBs with his eyes. I think he takes advantage with this, and I think they win somewhat dominantly. 35-23 is the final, and then obviously we all have Bama Clemson. We'll make that prediction when we get there, but we are the champions, and even though Asher is not a Seahawks fan,
we are.
He is a champion too. The Seattle Seahawks and the Pittsburgh Steelers have officially won our divisions, but scoot over Pittsburgh. We're talking about Seattle first. The Seattle Seahawks won the NFC West this past Sunday by beating the Los Angeles Rams 20-9. There were two key drives in that ball game. It was 6-6 at halftime. The drive at the beginning of the second half with Russell Wilson and the last drive of the game for Seattle were the pivotal and impressive drives by Russell Wilson, extending the drives on third downs, moving the ball down the field, establishing a run game at times, and being able to dink and dunk their way down the field while also taking shots at times, and creating an insurmountable lead by the end of this ball game. Our defense, the most impressive of anything. I took a page full of notes on this game during the game, and at least more than half of them, probably like 70% of them, are about the defense and how hungry Jamal is. He's motivated. This is another Super Bowl team. This is the formula for Seattle to be successful once again, and I didn't realize it back what we did in 2013 to make us so successful, but we finally repeated the formula, and I want to see us continue to repeat the formula, and that's bringing in veteran players that are extremely hungry and have been on unsuccessful franchises that are going to be motivated and propel your younger guys and tell your younger guys how lucky they are to be in this situation, as Jamal Adams was just talking about on Colin Cowards today, and to inspire these guys to go for it all, and that's what we did once again. This year we bring in Jamal Adams and Carlos Dunlap. I didn't realize it, but going back, Michael Bennett from Tampa Bay and Cliff Averill from Detroit, we went and did the same thing when we went on our Super Bowl run. So I think this bodes extremely well for Seattle. Diggs got a pick in the game. Our defense played phenomenal, held them to 9 points. That Jamal Adams chase down tackle and then the stop on 4 straight downs on 4th down to stuff them, and then the whole defense running off on the field. Just the chemistry. It was beautiful watching our Seahawks defense have so much confidence, so much belief, and so much love, so much passion about winning the division, and I just want to see us continue. Aaron, let's get your reaction to the Hawks winning the West.
I'm in the same boat as you are. I got chills right now a little bit, low key, just because the amount of chemistry that our defense has. I think, Noah, you and I, we're very lucky fans to have a defense that has the kind of chemistry they do. Not a lot of teams have that, and it's just we're so energetic all the time. And Jamal Adams, our defense, we're starting to play like we did at the beginning of the season, where we just dominated. Like, our defense wasn't amazing, but all together as a team, I think we're just pulling together. We're realizing the mistakes that we made, and we're going to have a strong finish of 12-4. And I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm very happy.
Asher, what was your reaction to the Seahawks game on Sunday? As a Steeler fan, preface.
as an outsider, if you will. No, I really like what I've seen from Seattle, because I know probably one of the main topics of this show has been how poor the defense was up until they got Jamal Adams and Dunlap, but they've just kind of turned a 180 on it. They've totally turned that defense around, and they've gotten so much better. It's leaps and bounds for that entire squad, and that translates to the offensive side of the ball either, because now they're not begging Russell Wilson to play perfection every possession and every time he's out there. And the chemistry, like you guys were talking about, it's just gotten away so much better. Like, you saw Jamal Adams, that press conference, like he was quite literally screaming at the top of his lungs into that mic. Like, coming from the Jets to clinching your division it's got to be great. And the same thing with Avery Williamson and the Steelers. no, I kind of want to talk about like bringing in these veteran guys and finding people that are motivated. Well, Avery Williamson has started 3 games and he already has 32 tackles. So he's averaging about 11 tackles a game. He led them in tackling against Indianapolis. He had a sack as well. It's finding people that are motivated is just great for Seattle and Pittsburgh, or teams like those too. And to clinch the division is just so much more confidence for this defense. And it'll get Russell Wilson hopefully ready for the playoffs. They'll get one more game and then playoff time. So it's great for Seattle fans. I'm happy for you guys too. I know how many struggles I've heard coming from both of you over the course of this season, but I'm glad to see you guys are able to clinch one.
Well, I appreciate it, and we will return the love to you as well in just a minute. As much as I would have loved to have seen you guys lose and completely just release grip on the division, but we'll get into that in just a minute. We're enjoying the Seahawks right now. Another great move that you did make, though, I did want to point it out, and even though he's not necessarily a veteran player at this point, he's still very young. He's coming from a franchise that at the time was not a playoff franchise, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and that was and Laramie never mind, wrong team. But for the Steelers, Minkah Fitzpatrick, a really good addition, a hungry player, and obviously he's had a tremendous impact. So the Steelers have followed the formula. Seattle's following the formula. It's a really good formula to follow, and that's the formula that we need to follow moving forward rather than trying to draft guys on the first round when we suck at drafting guys in the first round. All right, let's talk about the matchup this week versus San Francisco. And the Seahawks in press conference, Pete Carroll talking about we're going for it because we have a chance to go get the 1 seed. We're going to try and play our best game. And that's what I really hope that we're able to do, but I highly doubt it, and I don't expect it at all, to be honest. I really expect Seattle to overlook San Francisco in this game, and I hope that I'm wrong, but we need to treat this team with some serious respect. They just knocked off Arizona last week 20-12 in a matchup where they just had an opportunity. San Francisco's season is over. They just want to upset people. George Kittle is back. He didn't have to come back and return the season. Where's Christian McCaffrey been? And guys just sit out the rest of the year when their teams aren't going to make the playoffs. But George Kittle wanted to come back and wanted to send the message that we play to play. And they're going to try and beat us because this is their last opportunity to play football this year. Whereas we have more football to play, so it's going to be very easy for us to overlook them. We cannot do so. My keys for success, number 1, we got to stop the run because they ran all over those Arizona Cardinals last week. It was embarrassing, and if we're able to stop the run, the pass should not be nearly as much of a problem because that's not what they want to do offensively. Number 2, we need to win the turnover battle. We won against the Los Angeles Rams. It was only 1-0, but if we lose the turnover battle, that is really going to be a way that the Niners are able to stick in this game, if not win this game. You'll be able to look at the turnover battle and point to something there almost for sure. And then lastly, we're saying we're going for this ball game. It is a strong message heading into the playoffs. If we are able to get 30 or more points against San Francisco. Look, San Francisco on their season has only scored 30 or more points 4 times all year. Once was against the Jets, and that's a really, really bad team. San Francisco has struggled offensively, and if we're able to get more than 30 points, we're very likely to win this ball game. But also, in the past game that we played these guys, we gave up 27. We won 37-27, but we gave up a lot of points late, and I don't want us to be in a position where it's like the Cowboys game early on this year where we get a big lead, then we give up the lead and have to get it back. Let's build a big lead and then watch them slowly creep back while we chew our fingernails and wish that the Seahawks would just dominate for an entire 4 quarters at a time rather than 2 and 2. So I say Seattle score more than 30 points, win the turnover battle, stop the run. Keys for victory in this game. Aaron, how does Seattle beat San Francisco?
Containing and not overlooking George Kittle. That's going to be a big one just because he's back and he's been a threat to the Seahawks just because our secondary has not been known to be the best lately. And, having George Kittle back is such an easy target and such a tank in the backfield when he gets the ball, he's going to be a huge threat. And then just consistently running the ball is going to be huge as well. Chris Carson had had a halfway decent game against the Rams with 69 rushing yards, averaging 4.3 yards a rush. I want to see him do better than that. Like, Chris Carson's, I know he's got it in him to do well, and I think he can. And, just give the ball to Carlos Hyde more, too. That's been my key for a lot this year, honestly, has been just give the ball to Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde. But when they do that, we win games. So, that's what happens. And then, like Noah, my last one is just winning the turnover battle because we won against the Rams. And, every game that we've won this year, we won the turnover battle, I believe, haven't we? So
I don't know off the top of my head, but most likely.
Yeah, and that's just such a huge part of the game. So, yeah, those are my 3.
Asher.
I just have one key for this week, and I'm going to take my, my forward-looking mindset from my power rankings earlier and apply it to here. You need to find the warmest seat on the bench you have and make sure Russell Wilson is sitting in it. You've already clinched your division. You don't need Russell Wilson you don't want to take that risk getting hurt because if there's no Russ, there's no shot you get to the Super Bowl. You might lose the Battle of San Francisco, maybe if Russ doesn't play, but you're trying to win the war of the NFC division because there's Green Bay and New Orleans waiting out there for you, and you need to make sure Russ is well rested, well prepared for those guys. So I think benching Russ would be the deal here. And as a Steelers fan, I'm glad that Big Ben is doing it for Pittsburgh. And I'm sure you guys have different opinions, and that's totally fine. But if Big Ben got hurt against Cleveland Week 17, I would be so upset because Mason Rudolph will definitely not be able to lead us past anyone in the playoffs, I don't think. He's going to start next week against Cleveland, so we'll see what he can do. But our starting quarterback is the best shot we have, and I think it's the same thing for Seattle.
Well, come playoff time, I don't think Big Ben is going to lead you past anybody either, and I think he's going to be cold. Even though you guys were already cold, now he doesn't have a chance to try and get out of that spell, even against the Colts. Yes, it was a major comeback win. Yes, it was a 17-point deficit. But your guy was the same guy that was at quarterback when you fell behind 17 points. I disagree with the strategy. I say go for it. If he gets injured, we can't control that. God bless, God forbid. I don't want to see any of that happen, obviously. But I want to see Seattle go for this. We're hungry. We're motivated. Let's play smart. Yes, Russell Wilson sit on the bench if we're up by 30 points. But I want to see us go win the game first, and that's the most important thing.
And to your point, I'm not saying Big Ben will lead us past anyone, but I do want to say that he has a much better shot of doing it than Mason Rudolph by far. I just want to make that clear. I'm not sure the way how the Steelers are playing right now.
Well, and our quarterbacks are in different boats too. Knock on wood, Wilson hasn't had as many injury problems throughout his career so far as Big Ben, and Big Ben is a lot older and less in shape. Yeah, knock on wood.
That is fair. I'm just looking out for you guys because I know Russell Wilson is probably the biggest part of your keys to success, and I want to see Seattle go back to the Super Bowl. I go to school in Washington. I get to see Seahawks Twitter complain every single week. One of my favorite things of going to school at Wazoo is Seahawks Twitter. I just think it's a very interesting place, and I root for Seattle too because I think they have a really good culture and franchise in Seattle, and I like Russell Wilson as a person off of the field and what he does on the field too. And so I definitely want to see him have success, and I think they could go back to the Super Bowl this year for sure. But the only way they do that is if Russell Wilson is 100% healthy.
Well, thank you. Aaron, is there anything else you want to add, or Asher, about the Seahawks' big win or keys versus San Francisco?
Asher, I see where you're coming from with benching Russ right away, but I have to agree with Noah in just making sure that we win the game first and then benching him, just because this rivalry is an important one, and I would love to be atop the NFC. So.
And we're playing for a winning record in division. We have a chance to be 4-2 within the division and sweep San Francisco in the season series. When does that not feel good? When is it a bad time to beat the 49ers?
Exactly.
Never.
I'm not saying it's a bad time, but if you want to push for a higher seed, I don't think you're going to have much luck when you have Green Bay and New Orleans probably trying to win their games. The Green Bay plays Chicago next week, and I don't think Green Bay will lose that one. So I don't know.
I don't think either team loses. I agree with you there. New Orleans plays Carolina, and both of those are like potentially losable games, but very unlikely. I'm doing it for the momentum factor. I'm doing it for the swagger. Like our roster is pretty young. We have a lot of guys that are really hungry, like we're talking about, and those guys just want to ball out. So we're gonna have to agree to disagree on this one about our quarterbacks, but. One thing we can agree on, Asher, your Pittsburgh Steelers, finally get back on track and clinch the AFC North after a very impressive 17-point comeback against the Indianapolis Colts. I was looking at that score and laughing when they were down, 24-7. And then they came
it was
back.
about 5 minutes to go in the third, and then they held them scoreless in the fourth. And I was laughing too, because I told myself, "Oh no, here we go again. We're going to lose another one. The skid's just going to continue." But Big Ben ended up with 342 and 3 touchdowns. And the Juju hate. This is a very interesting thing that I've found. And Jerry Jeudy tweeted it, the Broncos receiver from Alabama. People were only complaining about Juju when they were winning, but he ends up with 96 yards and the game-winning touchdown. And it seems like all that chatter's kind of been muffled almost, just because they're winning now. And it was only a problem when they lost 3 games in a row. So I don't know. I'm just glad to see Juju be able to go out and back it up, because I do think if you do stuff like that, you should back it up. And I'm not telling Juju to be different, because I for one appreciate him doing the dances, and I like seeing that. But you definitely have to back it up. You definitely have. If you talk the talk, you got to walk the walk, and he definitely did that. He got the game-winning touchdown, and they're back on track. They clinched the division. So
he didn't dance on the logo when he did it, though. Like that.
He didn't, but that's what I'm saying, though. It wasn't an issue when they went 11-0. It was only an issue after they lost a couple.
It was a little bit, because eventually you are going to lose. That's the thing, though. Losing is inevitable. That is inevitable,
but it's been a lot louder when you lose, and I just don't know how to feel about it.
Just want to point this out, and I'm a Heat fan, so this pains me. 140-91 right now. Milwaukee on top. Milwaukee looking very impressive. Oh, they set and they actually just set the single game record with a 28th made 3 in the game. Wow. What Milwaukee is doing
made 28 threes.
That's
Asher.
Absolutely crazy.
We need to put a APB for where the Milwaukee Bucks are on your top 5. Missing persons.
I can make a quick adjustment after that. 141-91. My goodness.
142-91 now.
84 points off the threes.
All right, anything to distract from Steelers' success. No, but Aaron, let's go to you. Pittsburgh finally gets back on track. What are your thoughts?
I mean, losing 3 in a row can be detrimental to a team that was undefeated up until that point. So I think that this was much needed for these Pittsburgh Steelers. The comeback makes it all that much sweeter, I feel like, as well. And plus with Juju catching the game-winning touchdown, it's kind of sweet, It's nice to see the Pittsburghs back into their whole rhythm and motion, and everything seems to be doing all right with Big Ben sitting out, which, I don't necessarily agree with, but I understand why they're doing it. So,
fair.
But, they're still a great team. They're still, in my top 5, and that's
all right. Now let's jump down. Let's go to our NFL power rankings. We only have a couple minutes left on the show, so let's kind of go elevator version for this. 5 through 1 NFL power rankings. Starting at number 5, that's where I put New Orleans. Still a very, very good team, but questions about their deep ball, questions about Drew Brees. No, not really any questions about the defense, but offensively there are some questions. Not with Alvin Kamara, not with the run game, not with Michael Thomas, but with the quarterback. Asher, what's your number 5 team?
I have the Steelers. I think their win puts them in a really good spot, not only because they win the division, but because they end the 3-game losing streak. I think it's a lot of momentum for them moving forward. TJ Watt should be the defensive player of the year. No more Juju talk, like I said, the game-winning touchdown. I like Steelers at 5. That might be a little high based on that 3-game losing streak like I talked about, but I think they're back on track.
I didn't think losing to Cincinnati was that bad. Aaron, let's go to you. Number 5 on your list.
I got the Bills at number 5 just because they're still such a solid team. Josh Allen's a ridiculously good player.
This will be an interesting list then.
Right. No, that's pretty low, to be honest.
That's just where I am. I mean, New Orleans isn't in my top 5 this week, so.
Interesting.
No New Orleans and Buffalo number 5. I want to see who's up top. Number 4 on my list. I'm back on track, and I do this every year before the playoffs. Seattle's back on my power rankings. It is time. We are all in. We have clinched the division. Seattle, let's go forth and let's beat San Francisco. Let's advance into the playoffs and let's start kicking some butt. Our defense needs to be respected. And I'm probably going to eat my words when we lose to San Francisco embarrassingly this week after we overlook them and crawl our way backwards into the playoffs. Asher, let's go to you for the number 4 team on your list.
I put the Saints at 4 because I'm just glad I didn't have to play against Alvin Kamara in fantasy. My goodness, that was something to watch. Six touchdowns, most in a game, or tied for most in a game ever. That's just unbelievable. And I know it's against the Vikings, but to do that against anyone, like the Bucks beating Miami by 50. Also, Giannis is in single-digit scoring. He has 9 points. So for the Bucks to do that and Giannis not scoring that much is that much more incredible. But anyway, I put Saints at 4. I like Kamara and their offense. But there are questions like you said. No, I do agree with that.
And Alvin Kamara's caused me a lot of fantasy pain. Not like this, though. Thankfully, I didn't play him either. Aaron, let's go to you.
I got Pittsburgh at number 4 this week, just because I like. They're 12-3. They're back on their roll. I think they're going to end up 13-3 this year, and I think that they have a good shot at the AFC Championship.
The number 3 team on my list is where I go to Green Bay. I'm tempted to put them higher, but I'm keeping them at number 3 right now. I still think if they played a team worse than Tennessee, that game wouldn't, or better than Tennessee, that game wouldn't have went like that. I was low on Tennessee heading into that game, and in the betting predictions, I took Green Bay. So Green Bay remains number 3 on my list. Asher, let's go to you.
So this is probably going to be my hottest take of the year. I put the Chiefs at 3.
I could see it.
I could see it, and I have an argument for it. Yeah, that's fair. I feel like a lot of people would too, but hear me out. Remember when the Steelers were undefeated and they were struggling against sub-500 teams? A lot of people were questioning them and what they can do, and then they ended up losing to the sub-500 Washington football team. It's the exact same thing with Kansas City. They struggled against the sub-500 Las Vegas Raiders twice in a row and ended up losing to them once. They struggled against the sub-500 Atlanta Falcons and beat them by 3 points. And no one's talking about that. They walked away. Atlanta had a game-winning interception go right through their hands, and then Younghoe Koo told everyone he's an Atlanta Falcon and missed the game-tying field goal. Mahomes has struggled in the month of December. He only has 8 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He's been great, as far as the whole season goes, don't get me wrong. But they've been struggling as of late. The red zone defense is probably dead last in the league. Anyone can score on them when they get to the red zone. Like, come playoff time, do you want Derrick Henry lined up against you in the red zone? Absolutely not.
I would love to get into this debate, but we're out of time. We gotta keep it moving a little bit.
That's my argument.
Also, I don't think anybody wants Derrick Henry lining up against them in the red zone.
Exactly.
No, definitely fair point, Asher. A case is to be made for Kansas City not playing up to their potential. I still believe that they'll beat anybody right now. Aaron, let's go to you. Number 3 on your list.
Seattle, number 3.
Moving down the list, I put Buffalo at number 2, and I put Kansas City number 1. I still believe in Kansas City on any given Sunday. Until they get beaten. I would love to see them get beaten, but this is one of those teams that no matter how much they're down or no matter what the score is, I'm afraid that they're going to win the ball game, and because of that, I keep them at number 1. Asher, let's go to you. 2-1.
There's definitely a case there, and I agree with part of that, too. I put the Packers at 2. They're just winning so easily, it seems, with Rodgers and Devontae Adams just blowing people out of the water. I think Rodgers is my MVP right now. I think him and Adams is looking so good right now. And the number 1, I got Buffalo. I think Allen and Diggs, they're just on a roll right now. Also, shout out to Diggs for putting me in my fantasy championship. I was down by about 20, and then Diggs comes out with those 3 touchdowns. Oh, so great. I got $80 on the line this year, too. I can't beat these math.
Good stuff, brother. Aaron, let's go to you. Number 2 and 1 on your list.
Green Bay, number 2, and Kansas City, number 1. For obvious reasons.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching this, or for tuning in for this episode of Unorthodox Sports. You can find me on social media at DJSQUABO, Aaron at Aaron_Monson or Aaron__Monson on Twitter, and Asher at Asher lined on pretty much everything except for Snapchat, where he is Volcanic Ash Man. As always, this is your home for Seahawks and Cougar coverage on KUGR Unorthodox Sports.